the lost city of Atlantis. Since the dawn of time, dreamers, occultists, and New Agers have been utterly besotted by the concept of Atlantis, which refers to a lost island subcontinent that is typically envisioned as an advanced and utopian society that possesses knowledge that has the potential to bring about world peace. Atlantis is still a widely discussed topic, as seen by the thousands of books, periodicals, and websites that are dedicated to the subject. People have been known to spend their whole fortunes, and in some cases even their lives, on the quest to find Atlantis. Where and how Atlantis got its start. We have a precise understanding of when and where the tale of Atlantis was originally told, in contrast to the majority of myths and tales, whose beginnings have been obscured by the passage of time. Around 360 BC, Plato presented the story for the first time in two of his dialogues called Timaeus and Critias, both of which were written down. Plato's description of Atlantis in his fable paints a different picture than the one that is often held now about the peaceful and perfect society that was there. Professor of Archaeology Ken Feder writes in his book Encyclopedia of Dubious Archaeology, opens a new tab, that in Plato's narrative, Atlantis is not at all a place to be honored or emulated. There are flaws with Atlantis's model of society. Atlantis, on the other hand, is the embodiment of a materially prosperous, technologically advanced, and militarily powerful nation that has become corrupted by the wealth, sophistication, and might that it possesses. The narrative of Atlantis is more about the city's heroic rival Athens than it is about a drowned civilization. If Atlantis truly existed today and was found undamaged and inhabited, the people who lived there would undoubtedly try to kill and enslave all of us. Plato's morality story uses the legend of Atlantis as propaganda to teach a lesson. Because Atlantis does not appear in any other historical accounts from any other part of the world, it seems obvious that Plato invented it as a setting for the stories he told. Given the number of Greek works that have survived to the present day, one would think that another author would have at least made a passing reference to such a magnificent location. There is just no evidence that the legends about Atlantis existed before Plato wrote about it. This is true regardless of the source. Mark Adams recounts how an otherwise ordinary Greek legend became so well recognized in his book Meet Me in Atlantis, across 3 continents in search of the legendary lost city, which opens in a separate tab. Ignatius Donnelly, a man from Minnesota who lived from 1831 until 1901, was responsible for this. Donnelly was a member of Congress as well as an amateur historian. In his book The Antediluvian World, published in 1882, Donnelly asserted that all significant advancements in civilization and technology could be traced back to the long-lost island that Plato stated. But Donnelly did more than only popularize Plato's account. He contributed some of his own facts and concepts that have now been ingrained in the myth of Atlantis. Donnelly was a proponent of the theory that is now known as diffusionism, which asserts that all significant cultures may be traced back to a single origin. Adams refers to Donnelly as the first great Atlantis fundamentalist when he says that Donnelly felt that Plato's account was factually authentic despite the presence of supernatural components like Poseidon. Charles Darwin received a copy of Donnelly's book, which he described as reading it in a very skeptical spirit. Darwin thought the book was intriguing, but it did not convince him of anything. After carefully reviewing a significant portion of Donnelly's work, Adams reaches the same verdict. Donnelly was a bag of winds. He was well aware of the outcomes he desired, and so he combed through his various sources in search of only the facts that met his requirements, without pausing to take into account any reasonable questions. Later on, authors who were less skeptical elaborated on Donnelly's beliefs by adding their own opinions and hypotheses to the mix. These individuals included the famed psychic Edgar Cayce, who lived in the 1920s, and the mystic Madame Blavatsky, who published The Secret Doctrine in 1888. Cayce, who placed a fundamentalist Christian spin on the myth of Atlantis, provided psychic readings for thousands of people, many of whom, he believed, had previous incarnations in Atlantis. Cayce's interpretation of the Atlantis story was fundamentalist Christian. Cayce's prediction that the continent will be found in 1969 was incorrect, and unfortunately, none of the information could be verified. Cayce made the prediction: the continent that has been lost. Even though it was based on a work of fiction, numerous people throughout history have insisted that the stories must be based on some element of reality while making assumptions about the location of Atlantis. Numerous so called experts on Atlantis have claimed to have found the misplaced continent in various parts of the world using the same information. The Atlantic Ocean, Antarctica, Bolivia, Turkey, Germany, Malta, and other islands in the Caribbean are among the candidates, each of which comes with its own unique body of data and line of reasoning. Other candidates include Germany and Malta. Plato, on the other hand, is very explicit about the location of Atlantis. For the ocean, there was at that time navigable. For in front of the mouth which you Greeks call, as you say, the Pillars of Heracles, i.e. Hercules, there lay an island which was larger than Libya and Asia together. To put it another way, it is located in the Atlantic Ocean past the Pillars of Hercules, which are the Straits of Gibraltar, which are located at the mouth of the Mediterranean. However, it has never been discovered in the Atlantic or any other part of the world. Plato's account must be altered, and it must be claimed that the philosopher took creative license with the facts, either inadvertently or on purpose, to maintain the fiction that Atlantis was once a real place. This is the only way to maintain the fiction that Atlantis was once a real place while also maintaining the pretense that Atlantis is a mystery. Plato's description may be made to fit nearly any proposed site by adding, omitting, or misinterpreting certain features in his work. This allows nearly any location to be made to fit his description. However, as the author L. Sprague de Camp pointed out in his work titled Lost Continents, you cannot change all of the details of Plato's story and still claim to have Plato's story. That is the same as stating that Cleopatra is really King Arthur. All you need to do is change Cleopatra's sex, nationality, period, temperament, moral character, and other factors, and the similarity will become clear. The fact that no evidence of Atlantis has ever been discovered, despite significant developments in oceanography and mapping of the ocean floor over the past few decades, is the single most damning piece of evidence that the lost continent is a fabrication. For over 2 millennia, readers have had the right to think that the immense depths might in some way conceal a submerged metropolis or continent. Readers could be pardoned for this suspicion. Even while there is still a lot unknown about what is at the bottom of the world seas, it is unfathomable that oceanographers, submariners, and deep sea probes from around the world could have missed a landmass that is larger than Libya and Asia together. In addition, plate tectonics provides evidence that disproves the existence of Atlantis. This theory asserts that as the continents have moved over time, the seafloor has expanded rather than shrunk. There is simply nowhere for Atlantis to fall into for it to get submerged. According to Ken Fader, the geology is clear. There could not have been a large land surface that then sank in the area where Plato places Atlantis. This is something that has been pointed out by Ken Fader. Together, current archaeology and geology present an unequivocal verdict. There was no land called Atlantis, nor was there a major civilization by that name. If you liked this video, follow us and you will find many videos that will help you to transform your life. Thanks for watching all the video. Please subscribe and hit the bell. See you soon.